Hey, well, how you doing? It's Huck. And happy Easter if you celebrate it. Um, I'm going to keep this really short. I made an error the other day. I uploaded a video, and I uploaded it, inadvertently to the wrong channel. As most of you know, I actually have two YouTube channels. Um, what started out being my primary channel originally was a channel called HuckFin22. Um, no spaces, really no capital letters even, HuckFin22. And it started off being kind of a comedy and entertainment channel. And I don't know, at times it morphed into other things. But then I decided to start what later became more a political slash vlog, personal a vlog channel, which is this channel, Huck at Home. And frankly, I have not attempted to upload a video to the other primary channel in really a heck of a long time. I don't know, it's probably been well over a year since I've uploaded anything there that I can recall. And I think the last time I did, it was also an error. At any rate, I'd like to get them both going again, but my health being what it is and everything else, I just never get around to doing a lot of things. But at any rate, about 3 or 4 days ago, I was up all night and I couldn't sleep, and I thought, you know what, I'm in the mood to share a little bit of my new hobby with my viewers, and so I did. I posted actually a very lengthy video. It may be the longest video I've ever recorded. It's nearly an hour, and the first probably 50 minutes of it or so are all about the fact that years ago, when I was a young man in my 20s, and I had some discretionary income, I bought a decent home stereo, and I started collecting vinyl albums, at least, those that I really liked. And I didn't have a collection of hundreds of albums or anything like that, and I didn't do it, as a hobby or anything, but there were, certain music and artists that I really enjoyed, and so I started buying things that, for instance, I think at one time I had every Cat Stevens album. I had, I think every Beatles album that had been released in the United States, at least. I might not have had. Maybe there was one or two I didn't have, to come to think of it, but for most of them I did. I had, a couple of Pink Floyd albums, Wish You Were Here, and I don't know. At any rate, and here and there I would have one or two of this and one of that, and it was a pretty eclectic mix, if you will. But I took really good care of my records. I would tend to play at one time, record it, on cassette, and then listen to the cassettes so that the record would stay, really in good condition. And that paid off for me, because when I had to file for disability years later, I needed to come up with money, and quickly, and those records, turned out to be a significant economic resource for me, because I was selling them, on eBay for $25, $35 each, and it really came in handy. Well, during this last 9 or 10 months, while everybody's been kind of locked down or whatever, certainly I have been, I decided that I'm going to set aside a very small amount of money every month and try to buy back a few of the records that I used to have. I still have the turntable for my sound system from many years ago, and and I've put a little bit of money into it. I bought a new cartridge for it, and belt for it. For instance, I've oiled the spindle a little bit, but it was a pretty good turntable at the time, but it was nothing. I never spent thousands of dollars on my stereo. I had in the 80s, I had about a $600 receiver, which was which was the epicenter of that stereo system, and I had probably speakers that I probably paid like $125 each for. They were adequate. I had a complete JVC component system, if you will, and all that's left of that now is the turntable. I play that with the help of a little very inexpensive preamplifier, like $20-25, and a basically an LG bookshelf stereo, and it will do, and I still like the sound of these albums better than I do coming out of my TV set or out of my cassettes or or my computer. I think you still sound, you definitely do hear a difference. So I talk a lot about all of this, and in some of the albums that I have been looking for, and how the prices have gone up, because apparently I'm not the only one suddenly invested in this new hobby. And like I said, with maybe $30 or $40 a month at best to be able to give to this hobby, it's going to take me a long, long time to get back even a fraction of what I used to own. But it's fun. It's part of the challenge, I think, of having a hobby, is knowing that you can't do everything you want to do. And so you have to be selective. I have a list of records that I dearly like to re-own, or in some cases own for the first time. And so, throughout the month I will, check different sources to see if I can get a good deal, a good bargain on anything. I have absolute maximums that I won't spend more than. And like I say, I have a maximum monthly amount that's, pretty small. And so, I won't spend more than $20-25 for a single album under any circumstances. And most of the time I'm looking to get something cheaper than that. I will, in some cases, buy something new if it's been reissued and it looks like it's, good quality. And frankly, that's becoming a lot more in vogue right now. Basically, if you look at any of the lists that are out there of great albums, historically significant albums, whatever list or resource you want to go to, many, if not most, of the albums on those lists are now being reissued by any number of different companies. I just bought, for instance, a copy of Dark Side of the Moon. It looks exactly like the original. It's made from master tapes from the original. And I think I paid like $23 for it, brand new, from a company called Tower Records. If I were to try to buy Dark Side of the Moon, a vintage original album, I probably couldn't have touched that for, a fraction of that price. Because, like I say, anything that's really collectible and in good shape is going to cost a fortune now. Unless you get lucky and you can find something, in some cases maybe people don't realize what they're worth. Or used to be you could find a lot of deals if you went to like flea markets or garage sales, maybe even some independent record stores. It's not really safe yet to do that kind of shopping, and so I haven't. I've been relegating myself to things like eBay and Craigslist and and just online. But I have two. I have two requirements before I'll buy an album. One, it has to fit within my financial limits, and two, I can give a lot of leeway on what the what the cover or the condition of the outside jacket, the cover or the the inside liner, for instance. That's not as important to me. But the vinyl itself, the record itself, has to be, in near mint or very, very good plus condition. Otherwise, you defeat the whole purpose. I would rather spend, $23 and buy something brand new, even if it's a reissue, than spend, $8 or $10 and buy something that's, going to have scratches on it. It just doesn't make much sense. Now, the cover condition and stuff like that, not quite as crucial to me, as long as the record's in good shape. Anyone that's collected albums or had a record collection knows that just storing records on a shelf, you're going to get some jacket wear. Just from moving the thing around, just from having an album inside, you're going to get ring wear. You're going to, those kind of things are almost inevitable. And the older the record, the more that type of damage is going to sustain. So anyway, I devote about an hour to this video. It's on my other channel. Again, the channel is Huck Finn 22. And I thought, you might find it interesting. Some of you who have a hobby of your own, particularly those of you who maybe also have a few albums at home. From time to time, maybe I would like to, follow up on that a little bit, maybe with a few lists of things like, some of the albums that I'm looking for. Some of the, I haven't bought a whole lot because, like I said, with my price limits and budget, I'm lucky if I buy 1 or 2 albums a month. And so, I've really just started on, but over the past 9 or 10 months, I've probably, have purchased, I don't know, less than 20 albums, probably closer to 12 or 15. And so anyway, in a future video, I probably share a little bit of some of the albums that I found, what I paid, and like I say, maybe some other lists that might be fun to do. Music is the great thing about collecting music is that particularly if you're homebound, like many of us are right now, it gives you hours and hours of things to do, at home on your own, just listening to it. And I have a good deal of fun just exploring. Like I say, I look at a lot of these different lists, resources that are out there to see what other people are talking about, and it's fun to kind of remember. Oh, I remember. Yeah, how could I forget that? I should really get if nothing more, I should get a greatest hits album of of the Doobie Brothers or something. So part of the fun is exploring what's out there, and once in a while by exploring some of these other resources like the Rolling Stone 500 greatest albums or 1001 albums you must hear before you die. By checking those lists, you're going to come across a number of artists that you're not as familiar with, if at all. And so, you can get on YouTube and explore some of them, and lo and behold, you might find that you've suddenly got a couple of more, artists to go after that you weren't as aware of before. Over the years, I have come, back when I had my collection in the 80s, for instance, Like I said, there were a number of things that I really enjoyed listening to, and it was pretty eclectic. I had a mix of things. There were musicals that I enjoyed listening to, and there were, a lot of progressive rock music. Um, but since that time, I've come to appreciate, a lot of music that I wasn't as keen on back then, um, and it's kind of grown on me. And so now, there are. I'm a big Steely Dan fan now, and I really wasn't back in the '80s. But they're about as good a jazz band as you're going to find. And they've got a ton of great albums out there. So that's one of the bands that I'm, there's a few albums of theirs that I'm certainly in the market for if I can find. But like a lot of other things I like, whether they're Beatle albums or Fleetwood Mac albums or whatever, it's really hard to find anything in my price range. And unfortunately, that means I often have to wait and just get one, as a reissue rather than to try to get a bargain, in a vintage album, because they're, at least if they're in good shape, they're not to be found. At any rate, I'll let you go, or I'm basically going to have done the whole video here. But that's on the other channel. I will get back with you real soon. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.